Today we're exploring sake, Japanese national beverage. I'm Jason.
And I'm Trent, and we're here on an unfiltered, unapologetically unprofessional wine journey. And we're saying here, Jace.
Our saying is drink more, try more, learn more. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thoughts of the week. Trent, what have you been thinking about?
What I've been thinking about is when I have sake at a restaurant, they ask me, do I want it cold or do I want it hot? So I had the thought of the week this week, talk about temperature and wine.
Great topic. Yes.
So you think about it for beer.
Yep.
People like it ice cold. The English like it lukewarm for some reason.
Why would they do that?
And for me, I believe it does change how you perceive the wine.
Absolutely.
So I've been doing a bit of research about wine temperature. And they say for light fruity reds, serve these reds slightly chilled, aim for 12 to 13 degrees Celsius. For medium-bodied reds, so between 14 16 degrees Celsius. Full-bodied reds, so between 16 to 18 degrees Celsius. If I compare that to actual varietals, that actually makes sense. Pinot Noirs are 12 to 14 degrees. Tempranillos, 12 to 16 degrees. Cab Sav, Merlot, Shiraz, 16 to 18 degrees. But the problem I have is, all right, one, how do you get it to that temperature?
Yep.
It's probably the easiest one of it. And then measuring the temperature and then maintaining the temperature.
Yeah. I'm interested in measuring.
So, before we get to it, we're going to start to talk about what are the influences in terms of temperature and how it affects how you taste the wine.
Sure.
So the first one, taste buds. So with below 10 degrees Celsius, sensitivity to the papillae becomes lower, which means that can activate or inhibit our taste buds.
The what? What did you call it?
Papillae?
What's the papillae?
Papillae? I think they're little taste buds on your little tongue.
Okay.
So below 4 degrees, they become almost insensitive. So cooler it is, it basically, I think, numbs the tongue, which means it becomes less sensitive to kind of different flavors.
Yeah, like when you're at the dentist and they numb your mouth.
Correct. Yeah, or when you eat like a really cold ice block and kind of like sticks to your tongue, it's really cold kind of thing. Alcohol content. Higher the temperature, the more the alcohol evaporates, the more you notice the alcohol.
Yes.
Yeah, just like when you like burn off alcohol when you're cooking, it comes up. When you burn off things when you're reducing something in terms of cooking, it comes up, right?
Yep.
So if it's hotter, it comes up towards your nose, you feel the alcohol a bit more.
Makes sense.
It evaporates. Sweetness, higher the temperature, the more sugar will be evidenced.
The higher the temperature, okay.
Colder the wine, less sweet the flavor it will seem. Colder, less sweet, hotter, more sweet.
Yep.
Yeah, makes sense. And then flavor similar to the alcohol content at high temperatures evaporates, as well as alcohol, the flavors kind of come through as well. Okay. So if it's excessive, alcohol will be the characteristic that will stand out the most. So you kind of have to find that balance between temperature. Too hot, too much alcohol, too much flavors, too much everything. And then, yeah, it's unbalanced wine. Lastly, tannins. Lower the temperature, rougher the wine. Higher the temperature, softens the perception of tannins, giving the wine a softer, more velvety feel. I found that one quite interesting. So tannins, lower temperature, rougher wine, high temperature, softer wines, softer tannins.
Unexpected. I would have thought it was the reverse. But
Yeah.
okay.
So I thought we'll try this experiment today. And I said, the trouble that I have is trying to get it to a temperature and then take it to a temperature. And then I did sort out measuring the temperature, which I have this temperature gun, which I normally use for my pizza oven. So let's just try this one first. So,
And just so everyone knows, Trent's been using this gun non-stop all day, so we're very excited about it.
so this should be the warmest. So this is coming up at, let's see,
20, 19? Let's say 20, round it up.
20 degrees. Okay. And this is coming up at 15 degrees, 14.6. And one that I've got in the ice bucket, I'll pour a bit later. But let you try that one first and start to go through the rungs while I pour this one out. And then you can start to tell me if you notice any difference between the different wines. So I got 20, got 14.6, and I'm hoping this one's slightly cooler as well.
Straight away, there's a difference between the hot and the cold, the 20 and the 14.
Actually, this is 16.4, so it'll be like in between here.
Oh, now you're gonna blow my mind. I need to work that out.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with the 20 first. And the alcohol is really strong. It actually makes it a bit more bitter.
Yeah.
It really stands out. Now I'm going for the 16. A bit cooler. The alcohol presence isn't as strong there. A bit more of the fruits coming out. And then the 14 itself, I can actually feel it on my palate that is quite chilled. It feels like less of the fruit flavors are coming out for the colder version. But certainly the key thing to me out of all of them is the warmer one. The alcohol stands out a lot more. What are you getting?
I feel that as well. I feel that, did I say hotter, softer with tannin? Yeah. I feel that it's bigger wine. Hotter is bigger wine. The flavors are a bit more intense, which I found the middle one there around 16 degrees just to be about just right. And the other one, 14 degrees, maybe a bit too cold. So when I go out to before, I'm talking about Shiraz, probably 16 to 18 degrees. I think it's more around the 16-degree mark that I feel those around that sweet spot.
Yep.
But then again, it's like your own personal perception, right? Beers, some like it cold, some like it warm. But it's great to experiment with the different wine temperatures and how it kind of evolves and changes over time.
Yeah.
And also sometimes explains like when you go to a winery, I guess they kind of serve it at the right temperature.
Yep.
All the time. And then you try it and go, oh, it's beautiful. You take it back home.
Yeah.
You had it in the back of the car. You pour it, go, oh, this feels wrong.
Yep.
So it kind of explains that one because temperature makes a huge difference to how you drink the wine.
Yeah, and sometimes you can go to someone's house, try some wine. It's been in the boot. The wine's been in the boot. It's quite warm there. You haven't, and it's not good. Yeah. That's a perfect example of how this can change the experience over there. What I find interesting is the difference in temperature isn't significant. We went down from 20 to 16 to 14, right? I was thinking larger numbers, but you can really tell the difference between those, even with those small variances in temperature.
Even a couple of degrees makes a difference.
Yeah.
So have a little play, have a little experiment. You can take a wine out of the fridge, try it, don't like it, leave it out, rest it for 20 minutes, try it again, might change. Leave it again for another 20 minutes, try it again, will change again, both in terms of temperature, but also in terms of the evolution of the wine itself as well.
It's a great segue into the topic because I experienced this in my recent trip to Japan where I opened up a local grape varietal from Japan and I took it straight out of the fridge. And my first notes is, gosh, it's pretty subtle. I can't really get anything out of it. 1 hour later, it warmed up and it really opened up and I could just get a lot more on the nose and on the palate as well. So temperature, it makes a difference. Thanks for sharing that experiment.
No problem. Yeah, because again, you go out and you go, oh, I want the hot or the cold sake, which means it would affect it because hot one will kind of bring out the flavors a lot more versus a cold one. So yeah, have a little experiment, have a little play around.
Well, let's jump into that hot versus warm topic on sake because what we wanted to today is explore sake, which is Japan's national beverage. And I have 5 mind-blowing facts about sake. Every time you hear the facts, mine will be blown.
Yeah.
I do want to point out something in advance, but because we'll probably get a bit of flack for this. Like sake is made from rice, it's not grapes.
Yeah.
And if you look at the definitions around wine, maybe people are saying, oh, hold on, that's not your classical wine. It is labeled as a rice wine.
Yeah.
We'll just take from that. But what's wrong with trying different beverages is what I say. So I'll just put that out from the start. So let me share with you those 5 mind-blowing facts about sake. First one is Japanese people don't call it sake.
Sake?
They don't call it sake either, right? So in Japan, sake is actually a general term for alcohol. It covers beer, it covers whiskey, it covers wine.
No way.
Yeah, mind blown?
Oh, mind blown.
Mind blown. Put that emoji up there. So in Japan, they actually call it Nihonshu, where Nihon is meant to represent Japanese and shu is meant to represent alcoholic beverage. So it's the Japan's national alcoholic beverage. Nihonshu is what they call it. Mind blown already on number 1.
Love it.
Mind blown fact number 2. You're meant to drink your premium sake slightly cold and your cheaper sake warm. So the temperature, sake experts say premium sake should be chilled at 15 degrees. Right. And I'd love to get your measurement as to see what we're tasting right now. And the whole point of this is if it's any cooler, if it's too warm, those really subtle flavors, which anyone that's had sake at is going to be diminished. You're not going to really taste it. So those fine flavors of sake, the fruitiness that comes through, those fragrances will go away. Trent's just measured the sake that we've got. We've got it at nearly 18 degrees.
17.7, yeah.
So 3 degrees higher. Let's see if that makes a difference.
I think it'll be great when you go to a restaurant, right? And they open a bottle of wine or sake.
Yes.
And then you bring out your temperature gun and go, send it back. It's too hot.
Mate,
it's too cold.
That is a great idea, actually. You want to drink it at the right temperature. You're paying so much money. Yeah. Make sure they serve it. I like that. That's a great idea. Yeah. Let us know in the comments below if you support that. We'll get that temperature gauge moving. Now, if we talk about the cheaper sake, they actually recommend drinking it warm because they felt that the cheaper sake is a bit rougher. Yeah. And so warming it up will smoothen it, which is interesting given what we've just experimented. Yeah. Because the warmer wine, grape wine that we've had, actually tasted a bit rough. Yeah. Right? So interesting. I don't know how that works, but that's what they recommend. The sake experts recommend. Let's go to mind-blowing fact number 3. Yeah. The rice grains are polished with the intent of improving the quality of the sake.
Yeah, so they're little like ninjas. They're kind of polishing each.
I know, you can imagine someone there with a tweezer and just wiping away what that looks like. I've got, and I'll put this up online, but I've got a sample here to show Trent the different gradings of polishing. So on the right, you've got something really raw. Yeah. And then you're going down to 23% of the core remaining. So they've polished off quite a fair bit. You can see the gradients there. Yeah, we know sake is made from rice. It's actually a short grain rice typically, and similar to what they use with sushi. But the reason that they polish it is because the outer layer has a lot of fat, it has a lot of minerals, it's got a lot of protein, which can affect the flavor of the sake itself. So they usually polish it. They use this rotating, high-speed rotating roller, not individual people polishing off the race grinds with tweezers. And the point of that is to get to this starchy core. Usually they polish it to 30% to take off the core, leaving the core at 70% there. And so if you go higher in grade, you're going to 40%, maybe 50% polishing of what's happening.
I go 100% where you polish it to the point there's no more rice.
Then there's no flavor. It's just water at that point.
And that's what you're trying to aim for, right?
Yeah, well, that's what the traditionalists say. That's right. Number 3, what a mind-blowing fact. They polish the rice. Let's jump to number 4. And this one is a bit scary. In producing sake, they mix it up with some mold.
Ooh, like cheese.
Like cheese. Yeah. So it doesn't sound too good, but it's part of the process. Yeah. So in sake, after they've washed and then they've cooked and steamed the rice, they actually add this mold, and it comes from a koji fungus.
What's a koji fungus?
A koji fungus is something that they actually use in things like miso and soy sauce.
Yum.
So a lot of the great Japanese flavors are utilizing this. And the difference for sake is that if you think about grapes have sugar. Yeah. So the yeast chomps on the sugar, produces alcohol. Yeah. Rice, there's no sugar. You need something to convert the sugars, to extract the sugars to effectively add the yeast and create alcohol. That's where the mold comes in.
Got it.
So the mold produces enzymes, and the enzymes break down the starch. The product of that is sugars, and then that's where the yeast can chomp away and produces alcohol. And at that point, it starts matching the typical grape winemaking process. Cool. So they add the fungus, that spreads out. It covers the rice to produce the enzymes. That breaks down the starch, creates sugars. You then add yeast, you add water to ferment it. You filter and pasteurize it to deactivate those enzymes. Age it for 6 to 12 months, and then you get your sake bottle. All right, and now we're at the 5th mind-blowing fact about sake. There's 7 classifications of sake. Bloody hell, there's a lot.
This is like Village, Premier Cru, Grand Cru, right?
That's right. It's Chablis. Yeah. They've got their 4 classifications. Sake has got 7. Wow. And it's pretty complicated to explain. So I'll put a diagram up onto the video itself. For those listening online, I think what I'd say is there's 3 styles to be aware of. Yeah. There's really your base style, and it's called futsushu. It's 70% of it is remaining, so they've polished 30% of it.
Futsushu?
Futsushu. That's right. And then they've added things like alcohol, sugars, and other ingredients. That's your really basic sake. Then you get to the 2 premium styles. There's a Junmai, which is the traditional one, really meant to just focus on the rice. So it's made up of rice, that koji fungus, and water.
Yeah.
Nothing else. And then you have a less traditional style, which is known as honjozo, which is the rice, the koju, water, plus some additional alcohol.
Yeah.
Which changes the flavor.
I haven't heard of that one. I had the Junmai before, but not the other one that you mentioned.
The honjozo. Yeah.
Honjozo.
I sound Japanese.
Yeah.
Probably not. Let us know. And then within those two premium styles, there's different classifications. You've got Ginjo, which is 60% of the rice core is still remaining.
Yeah.
And then Dai Ginjo, which is 40% of the rice core. Apparently the best is the Junmai, which is the traditional.
Yeah.
With the Dai Gunjo, which is the 50% of the rice core remaining.
Yeah.
That's the one to aim for.
Okay, got it. Cool. I always get confused when I'm trying to order sake.
Yeah.
I always go, what's good?
I don't know what to order. And typically, to be honest, I just go, give me a sake and make it warm because I prefer the warm style.
Yeah. I look at price as well.
And price is a factor. So those are 5 mind-blowing facts.
Yeah.
Was your mind blown about sake?
I think I'm mind blown, but also still quite confused, the different gradings. Like I don't think I'm armed now to go to a Japanese restaurant and be able to kind of talk about sake with purpose.
Just talk to them about the mold and they'll understand.
Yeah.
You know your stuff.
Yeah. The miso mold, right?
That's right. So what we wanted to do today is try some sake, and I bought this on my recent trip to Japan, and I want to compare traditional and non-traditional. So both of these sakes are actually 50% polished, so 50% of the rice core is still remaining. Yeah. So that's a pretty good grading in its own. Yeah. And then we've got one, which is the Junmai, which I'll hold up to the screen here. It's called a Suigei Junmai Ginjo. Mm-hmm. Traditional, so a bit more water. And then the other one, less traditional, probably more fragrant, more fruity, is a Turtle Spring Rice Ginjo, which Turtle Spring doesn't make it sound fancy in any way. I wish I could just pronounce the Japanese terms themselves.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to drink any Turtle Springs.
That's right. It doesn't sound too good. So we've got these great little vessels to try the sake in. And
where'd you get these vessels from?
We got them from Japan themselves. Have you got any sake in there? Let me pour you some of the Junmai.
Thank you.
There you go.
What do they say when you drink sake in Japan?
Kanpai?
Kanpai? Yeah. Gambe? Kanpai? Kanbe? Oh, gambe, kanpai.
Gambe.
Fruity.
Water-like? Not really.
Not the water I drink.
Yeah. Does it make your face scrunch up, and are you disliking it?
Not disliking it. It tastes like alcoholic kind of fruit drink. You know, like those kind of like Japanese fruit gummies, but with alcohol hit and the heat coming through on it. Like it's so easy to drink. Yeah. And that's why sake is so dangerous.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's also quite different to wines produced by grapes, right? You're not going to get this kind of flavor from that. I can't think of a wine that I've had is similar to this. But it's not water. I wouldn't say that. It's not unpleasant. Yeah. It's actually enjoyable.
I think it's easy.
It's easy. It's subtle, and it kind of reflects, you know, if you're pairing it with some subtle light dishes like sashimi and sushi. Yeah. You could understand why they're paired together. You're not going to fight it.
Yeah, because it has that, refreshing, clean, but that sweetness as well. We'll kind of pair off with a kind of like sweet fish.
Yeah.
Sashimi.
Yeah. Clean's a great word. Yeah. I like that.
Love it.
So that's the traditional style. Let's try the non-traditional Turtle Spring. And we've got it in these.
So do you know whether turtles were used in the creation of this?
I hope not. It's not a common ingredient. I'm hoping it's just the naming of the local area. So this is meant to be a bit more fragrant, a bit more fruity. And on the nose, you do get to smell quite a difference.
A bit more zing. A bit more zing on the tongue. It feels a bit like cow piss.
What did you say?
Cow piss.
Oh, the Japanese white drink. Yeah. I thought you said something else. I was like, I've never tasted that before. Okay. Next one. The flavors are certainly a bit more amplified. And for any of the viewers wondering what kalpis is, it's this...
Something like this.
White, it's almost like a white milky kind of drink.
Yeah.
Carbonated, but...
Carbonated white milk.
Sweet.
Fermented rice, I think, used in it. But yeah, it tastes a bit like that. It has this kind of like tang zing on it.
Yep.
Really easy again. Like really refreshing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost like those what's those Japanese drinks that you drink? Well, those different flavors onto it.
I don't know what Japanese drinks are you referring to?
The alcoholic ones. The like your cool flavored shochu.
Oh, right. Okay. Got it. Traditional versus non-traditional. What do you prefer?
If I'm feeling fun, non-traditional.
Yeah.
If I'm feeling more formal, traditional.
Do you ever feel formal? When do you feel formal? Like if you're in a diplomatic meeting with the Japanese?
Yeah, if you're taking like a client meeting or something like that, then you probably go for more the formal one, the safe choice.
Yeah.
But if you're out with mates and looking for a bit of fun, then you go for the non-traditional.
All right. Versatile. I guess sake is quite versatile. Yeah. I prefer the non-traditional. I just want something that stands out a bit more fragrant, a bit more flavoursome.
Yeah.
And that's why I like this Turtle Spring. So that's a bit about sake.
That's really cool because I hardly ever have sake side by side to do a comparison. It's always just like, just give me some sake. Yeah. It's more of a second thought. You have the food, I need some sake to kind of wash down the kind of raw fish.
Yeah. And I agree with you. You go to a Japanese restaurant, don't have a clue what to choose.
Yeah.
I think the tip that I'd give is that if you want the traditional style, look for something that says Junmai on it.
Daijo? Junmai?
Junmai. And Daijo, what's Daijo?
Daijo? Ginjo?
Ginjo is kind of the middle tier classification in regards to it. But Junmai, go for traditional, more toward less flavor, less fragrant. If it doesn't have that in there and you want something a bit more fruity and fragrant, look for the one without it. The other thing is look on the bottle. On the bottle itself, it's got this percentage. I might show this on screen. You can see a percentage. Usually they have like a alcohol rating percentage as well as a rice polishing percentage. Anything over 50% is typically considered premium.
I reckon if you go to a Japanese restaurant and go, oh, what's the polished rice percentage of this sake? And they go, oh, this guy knows something. I reckon.
Absolutely. And tell me about the mold. That's the way. Exactly. So hopefully we've blown your mind about sake. They actually don't call it that, which is a bit weird from our perspective. But if you've got any recommendations on sake, let us know. Put them in the comments below. Did you have any last comments?
No, I think it's good. Very educational episode. Arms me with some things I can take to a Japanese restaurant and sound a bit more professional. Like, I don't want the sake, I want the Nihonshu drink. Yeah, and they go, oh my God, this guy knows
Japanese.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's us at the wind up. As we like to say here, drink more, try more, learn more.